Hello, everyone. It is Felicia Bender, the practical numerologist. Today's video, we are going over the number 8 pinnacle. So I am making a wild assumption and a crass one at that you are watching this video. You clicked on this video because you already know that you are either experiencing an 8 pinnacle and want to know more, you have experienced one and want to have context for that, or you are going to go into one in the future and you'd like to be forewarned and forearmed. All right. If not, if this is all Greek to you, and you're like, "What are you talking about? I just clicked on this video. It's numerology. I don't know what is a pinnacle." I would ask you to please take one moment, go down to the description box. There is a video there that will walk you through what pinnacles are, a very short one, just give you a description. What are they? Why it's really, I find, very important or valuable to know what they are and put that into some context. And then there will be also a calculation so that you can walk through the calculation to see what pinnacle numbers you have. There are 4 of them. And then the time frame in which you will experience those. So that is very handy so that you can put those into context and look and see what your first, second, third, and fourth might be. All right. So with that said, with all those disclaimers done, let's just dive in. Let's get into it. So the number 8 pinnacle, when this shows up, no matter if it's the first, second, third, or fourth for you, it is going to bring in everything empowerment and financial. So empowerment and financial success. The 8 in numerology is the empowerment number. I think it gets a little bit of a surface level understanding. It's those who know anything about numerology. They're like, "Ooh, 8 is the money number." Well, yes, it is, and yet I would personally say, through my years of experience working with people and working with numerology, is that power and empowerment is is number one. If I had to say, what is the first, if I had to choose one thing that the 8 is all about, it's about empowerment. And then the other things can follow. Then the money, the authority, the respect, the expansiveness, the abundance, the wealth, the success that is the birthright to the 8 or with the 8. Now, sounds simple enough. Maybe not. Maybe it doesn't even sound simple. So when you experience an 8 pinnacle, I just am going to say right up front that it's a real butt kicker. And if you already have, I will step back and also put it into a wider lens or a wider context, which is, let's say you are an 8 life path, or you have an 8 prominently in your core numbers. The 8 pinnacle is kind of more of the same. So it might not feel as intense or rugged as it might for someone else, because you're already in it. That's a no-brainer for you. That's already part of that's part of the program for you. Now, somebody who doesn't have 8s in their chart, the 8 pinnacle can be a real swift kick in the pants. And so it's interesting to begin to look at things in that way as well. If you know all of your core numbers, it's really good to reflect on that also. All right. I don't know why I went down that little tributary, but I just did. So I hope it makes sense. Anyway, let's talk about it. Let's dig in, because of course, whenever you experience an 8 pinnacle, just like any of the other pinnacles, it's going to have the same attributes. It's just going to come at you maybe with a little bit of different positioning depending on your level of maturity, right? So whether it shows up as your first pinnacle, second, third, or fourth will determine kind of how you might understand it a little bit more, with a little bit more depth. Okay. So if you have an 8 pinnacle and it shows up for your first pinnacle cycle, and just to put it into context, overarchingly, this would be the first, again, and this is an approximation, your first 30 years. Okay. 30. That's a long period of time. So the pinnacles, the first pinnacle and the fourth and final pinnacle are the longest periods, depending on how long we live, of course. And the second and third pinnacle are two back-to-back 9-year cycles. Okay, so the reason I set it up this way, or just to put your brain in that, to thinking about it that way, this is a long period of time. If you had the 8 as your first period cycle. So Hans Dekos, master numerologist, calls this first pinnacle cycle, he calls it a time of attainment. I really like that. So I'm using it. Thank you, Hans Dekos. I really appreciate all his work. He's amazing. And so this is the a time of attainment. And this is really the formative years, right? Obviously. I like to think about, we talk very much about in psychology, I don't know, the research shows that the first 4 years are the most crucial in terms of installing our operating system as children, right? One might say that we get that operating system up and running those first 4 years, and then we spend the rest of our lives attempting to deprogram it, right? And yet, the reason I bring this up is because I have found it very enlightening to look and see my pinnacle and what really was being installed at that point. It really has a really profound impact on my personal view about my own life. And yet it also is a nice window open when I'm working with clients to understand those aspects as well. I hope that makes sense, but maybe it doesn't. But I will carry forward and give you some examples here. All right. So, time of attainment. This first pinnacle cycle, it is an intense period. It really demands that you step up or get stepped on right out of the chute. You're going to be asked to assert yourself, to get a handle around what money means to you and what money does not mean to you. Those are that's a very important distinction. When you're in an 8 cycle, it's set up as a period of time where you are given challenges, when you are given tests, when you are given opportunities to empower yourself at all levels. So the lessons can show up through difficult family dynamics, through authority issues, and strong and superior ethics are required during this time. So I find that people who experience an 8 as their first pinnacle cycle, most often, I would say 95% of the time, are going to be getting those lessons through difficulties, and that are more overt, through scarcity, through chaos, through addictions, through abuse, through other things that are very intense. Okay. And it's part and parcel of life. And we all experience difficulties and intensities in life. And yet during this 8 pinnacle, it's more common that this is coming at you so that you can early and often empower yourself, step up and stand up, assert yourself, take charge of your existence, right? And it ain't going to be easy. And I'm just saying that up front, okay? Anyone I've ever worked with who's had an 8 pinnacle, I'll try to kind of soften it up, and they're like, "No, you don't have to soften it up. It was it was rough." I'm like, "Yeah, it was rough." And yet, the cool thing about it, and I mean this absolutely sincerely, is that When you survive and thrive through an 8 pinnacle, you are invincible. It is as though you're like, throw anything at me. Okay, I've already been through it. I've already been there. I've already done that. I've already, right? I've got the scars to prove it. I've got, right? I mean, this is a time where there can be a financial windfall and then a total financial devastation and back again. It can be a time where, I mean, just all of the intensities around the way in which you empower yourself is going to be up front. It's going to be up close and personal during this time. It can be an incredible time where you, again, as a child, learn about money, that you get into a career or something that is very financially remunerative for you, and you gain a certain level of wealth, a certain level of abundance, where you really lean um, into that and really get serious about wanting that to be your life, wanting that to be the way you live, and not succumbing to lack, to scarcity, to the victimization that can come in with that. I'll always say that I know people who are either 8 life paths or have an 8 prominent in their chart, and these are the people, if they're working it, if they're working it correctly, they're the ones who see, they love money and they love it. They love the game, and they understand that it's just a game, and they love playing the game. And they're the ones who can move the pieces in the chessboard. They can lose a bundle and not really, they can, yeah, of course it's an issue, but they know that there's always more where it came from. Because if you think about the number 8, it is the number of infinity. It is the symbol of abundance. It is the divine feminine as well. And when it's really operating optimally, it is all about the flow, the constant flow of energy, of resources. And so those who are successful with the 8 are these people who ebb and flow, who give it out as soon as they get it, and it just keeps flowing and flowing and expanding. So it's a very interesting concept to look at if you are experiencing an 8 pinnacle, and learn how to play with it a little bit more, because obviously just the opposite is what is more more likely, is that we feel fear, we feel, a lack, we feel we have to hang on to things, all of those sorts of things. So it's a long period of time that is teaching you all about that. All right. The second pinnacle cycle, if you have an 8, is that time of obligation. This is a time to tap into your business ability. This period is ripe for gaining traction with your career, partnering in marriage or in business. Business acumen is really rewarded, and emotions are kind of downplayed. And proper management is really key, as well as balancing any controlling or dominating tendencies. So, greed, avarice, making it all about money at the expense of everything else, is also out of balance with the 8 energy. And yet also succumbing to just being beaten down to a pulp and saying, I can't, is also out of balance. So it's always, the 8 pinnacle is always going to keep you on your feet. And on your toes when you're on your feet, because it really is demanding. It is an intense pinnacle. It really is. So if you have an 8 in your third pinnacle cycle, it is a time of foundation, power, financial success, and influence are key features. The practical thinking, organization, long-term and bigger goals are favored here. Taking your success and turning it into giving back is a really higher level of this experience and expression of the 8, and offering supportive energy for it's really offering you this supportive energy, and as you can also offer it to others, as a matter of fact, um, to use this influence that you are gathering and building and creating. When you're in an 8 cycle, it's often about, being the authority, being the respected figure, being the go-to for whatever it is, whether it's at your office, at your home, whether you own your own multi-million-dollar business, whatever it is, it's about you really refining your authority around that and becoming um, this person who is the connector, the one who knows the people, who brings people together for the higher and better, the one who can affect a wider range of positive change, right? So those are things that will often happen and transpire during a 3 pinnacle. So your third pinnacle is what I meant. You're an 8 pinnacle within your third pinnacle cycle. All right. The fourth pinnacle cycle is a time of culmination. Let's remember the first, the second, the third pinnacles that you have experienced are all setting the groundwork for this fourth final, your aria, right? This is an area of culmination. Everything that you have been experiencing is taking you to this place. And if this place for you happens to be an 8, it is taking you into a place where, again, power, authority, and financial success are really supported by this energy. So, spiritual principles, wealth, and power collide during this period, particularly. They're always going to be there, no matter which pinnacle cycle the 8 shows up in, and yet, particularly in the fourth one, the spiritual principles are really, I find, intensified during this period of time. So, establishing a lasting legacy is really supported, and this is often a time where success unfolds as long as your actions are balanced. Just like what we've been talking about the pros and cons of being, modulating your sense of attention and focus on money. Once again, I find that throughout your life experiences, once you get to an 8 pinnacle that is your fourth, you will really be faced with, what does money mean to me and what does it not mean to me? What will I do for it and what won't I do for it? How can I exert my authority in a positive way? How can I influence? How can I use my influence for the greater good, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean that if you have this in your fourth pinnacle, that you are meant to be this hard driving, conquer the world, business person. I gotta leave, millions to my kids or to a organization or whatever. What it does mean, though, is that you are very clean and clear. You are very empowered. You are very respected in whatever it is you're doing, and that you feel that you have achieved a level of success that is expansive and that you are proud of. In that way. So I just want to be really clear that if you feel super pressured, if you have a 4 as your pinnacle, and you're like, "Hey, dude, I am not going to be a multi-gabillionaire. Am I failing?" No, you're not failing. And yet, if you aren't feeling good about where you are and empowered and very, again, if you feel like you have the really behaved in an ethical, above board manner in your life, that is also part of the expression of the number 8. So it really doesn't, it's still not going to be easy. It's going to continue to test you. The 8 is a testing number. This is a time of great rewards and recognition, as long as you stay on it and stick with it. So I hope that cleared some things up, I don't know, gave you a few little aha moments about your 8 pinnacle. Again, if you want to know all of your pinnacles, if you want to understand a little bit more about that process, take a look at the other videos. And thank you for watching.